Welcome to Leveraging JavaFX for the UK energy market. This is not too much of a technical session. This is more of a case study. It's kind of really important for me to show to the Java community that JavaFX is still really out there, that it is being used for a lot of projects, but unfortunately most of those projects are really behind company walls and not really on the web, on the internet. So there's a whole lot less exposure. So people are often not aware how much JavaFX is still being used. And I worked as a JavaFX and Java consultant for many years. I've worked on many projects with JavaFX technology. It is out there, it is being used, and it is still an active project and technology. My name is Dirk Lemmermann, or if you want to pronounce it in a German way, Dirk Lemmermann, and I work for a company called Senapt. And you might have seen the logo already at a couple of places here at the conference. We are one of this year's DevOps sponsors. And the reason why we're doing this is primarily to give back to the community, to really support the Java developer community, but at the same time, of course, also to show our name and make people aware that we are out there. So if any one of you are looking for new job opportunities in the future, you might think of us because we work on really cool technology. Senapt is located here in the UK, in Basingstoke, roughly 1.5 hours to the west from London, but usually with the traffic more like 2 hours. Founded in 2016, we have 76 employees, 63 developers, and most of us, I think 90-95% are Java developers. We do a little bit of iOS, Android, and web. And our mission is to deliver energy as a service. And this term might confuse you a little bit. It does not mean that you can go to our website and then get free electricity and power your home or recharge your car with it. It means that we wanted to provide a platform for energy suppliers so that they can manage their customers with our software, that they can do their day-to-day operations, things like that. So we are hosting a software for energy suppliers. Now, unfortunately, and I think most of you are aware, there have been a couple of crises over the last couple of years, like the war in Ukraine, COVID, all kinds of events that led to really high energy prices. So many of our potential customers went bankrupt, basically. So our potential customer base shrunk quite a bit. So we thought, okay, what should we do? And then we decided, well, why don't we become an energy supplier ourselves? So we bought one of the smallest energy suppliers for a symbolic £1. And it is called Tomato Energy. Maybe some of you ran into that company already. That's now our second business. I must tell you, it's a little bit weird if you are a software developer and all of a sudden you are actually working for an electricity supplier and a company that even has retail stores. So Tomato Energy was founded in 2021. We are already at 100 employees. Companies like that, compared to software businesses, they grow much, much faster. So for our platform, we wanted to use JavaFX. Why did we want to do that? Because it's Java, and we love Java, and it also allows us to tap into the Java ecosystem. It runs everywhere, and this is something that most people are not aware of, but JavaFX applications can run on your desktop. You can run it in a browser. It runs on mobile. The other reasons were that it really matched our team capabilities at the time we founded Senapt. So we ended up with a very simple technology stack. I mean, okay, so team capabilities, what I mean with that is that we were 3 developers in the beginning, and we were all Java developers. So why not pick something for the front end that is also Java? You know, makes our life a whole lot easier. And we ended up with a very simple technology stack. So we had Java in the back end, we had Java for the front end, and then we just send JSON back and forth, serializing, deserializing Java model objects. You know, it doesn't get much simpler than that. Sustainability, those desktop technologies, especially if you look at something like Swing, for example, they tend to stick around for a very, very long time. And we wanted to make sure that when we were done with our startup and entered the scale-up period, we wanted to make sure that technology is still there. So with JavaFX, actually it turned out that it has been a little bit rough, but it is still there, it is still maintained. Other reasons, lots of high quality components. There are a lot of open source libraries. I'm actually working on many myself. and the responsiveness, which is crucial if you have power users using your system. You want something that is really, really fast. And there's a great community around it. And because there's a great community, and we believe in community, we wanted to contribute back. So one of our community outreach projects is a website called JavaFX Central. Anyone familiar with that? Has anyone seen that? Oh, one, two, okay. Well, you work for a company, that doesn't count. So we created this because we realized that JavaFX does not have a home on the web, okay? It's a product developed by Oracle, and they do a really bad job at marketing it, okay? So we said, why not create a home for JavaFX? And on this website, you will find anything related to it, libraries, the people that work with it, documentation, tools, showcase applications. This website was completely done in JavaFX itself. Okay, so if you want to try out the JavaFX web application, just go to this website and see it works, and you will not see a difference to a web application. It is also a desktop application. So if you go to the web application, you can download an installer, and you can install it on your desktop and run it as a desktop application. And it's exactly the same code base. Okay, there. Maybe 2 or 3 if-then statements in there, but overall, it is exactly the same code base. And it runs on mobile too. So this application here you see the iOS version. This is also exactly the same code base except for the screens. Initially, we tried to use the narrow version of the web application and deploy it to iOS, but Apple said no, because it looks like a web application and they don't want native applications that look like web application. So they said no, and I had to recreate a couple of new screens just for the mobile version. And you can download that, you find it on the App Store, and run it on your phone, Android and iOS. And yes, I know I should have added a QR code. Sorry for that. What's really cool on that website is a series of videos that we created, interviews with people using JavaFX. It's called JavaFX in Action. And these interviews were conducted by Frank Delport, who's a guy from Belgium. He works for Azul, and he's doing all these interviews with various developers and collected feedback, how they like working with Java and JavaFX. Okay, so it's really worth studying those interviews. Okay, so energy as a service, why do you even need something like that? Why do you need a platform for that? Can't you just get away with something off the shelf, some CRM system you buy somewhere, maybe a little bit of Excel, and then you're done with it? Unfortunately not, because the energy business is quite complicated. In the past, like 20, 30 years ago, all you had were these traditional electricity meters counting your consumption, and you reported the delta between the last and the current reading, and then you got a bill. Nowadays, you don't have those anymore. Nowadays, you have smart meters. Okay, these are basically little computers that everybody has in their home. And in the UK, they've already installed 34 million smart meters. Okay, so they're rolling them out at a really high pace at the moment. But it's not just that people now have smart meters, you also have solar panels. So not only do you consume energy, you also produce energy, and you want money back for that. And if you are that person's energy supplier, you have to know how to bill for consumption, but also reimburse for production of electricity. If you have solar panels, you might also have batteries, okay? And then there's this whole new game of when do you load the battery, when do you feed back to the grid, when do you make the most money with that, okay? So that's another scenario that your CRM system needs to be able to support. You might have some smart devices in your home. All of that needs to be hooked up and fed with information. For example, this display wants to display the tariff that the meter is on, how much energy you used and how much money you spent. And you might have, sorry for that, you might have an electric vehicle, right? And you want to charge that or even use that as another battery, okay? So the scenario got really complicated. And at the same time, in the UK, they introduced something that's called the DCC network. DCC stands for Data Communication Company. And this is a network that connects all the various players on the energy market. We are using this to access the smart meter, the consumption data on the smart meters of our customers. So this, for example, is a sequence diagram where you can see how our data ingestion platform, which is our microservice that we use to collect the data, all the various hoops that it has to jump through to get the data from a meter. It first has to connect to a dedicated connection, which is a server in a high secure data server hosting center. That only that server is allowed to access the DCC gateway. The DCC gateway, which is the network I mentioned earlier, then communicates via the wide area network, which is cellular and mobile communication, to connect to the home network, which is a network that gets created by your smart meter. And the smart meter then finally has the data, collects the data if you ask for it, and sends it back by jumping back through the same hoops again. And then finally, we store your consumption data in our database if you are one of our customers. So revolutionizing energy as a business, that means if you provide a platform, you have to have all kinds of solutions for this, different pieces of software. I've already shown JavaFX Central, which of course is not important for the energy market, but we have a customer relationship management system, the green column here. We do have a MyWatts iOS Android application that allows users to access their smart meter data, even if they are not our customers. So any one of you who has a home and a contract with an energy supplier with a smart meter can download this application now and access their data. And you can see how much you consumed today, last month, what your average is, how much money you spend. Out of those applications that we have that are our platform, the JavaFX Central, then Senapt CRM, and our very own marketing application, all of those were done as JavaFX applications. And to give you an idea, this is what our CRM system looks like. I like to call it the green monster because we really overused green a little bit. And this is a customer, and the big green box represents a contract that we have with this customer. And when you double click on that contract, it opens up like this as a tray, and you get to see all the different contract details. There are a couple of tabs in there that give you all the information that you need to do business with that customer. So, for example, if you switch to the meter tab, you get to see what type of meter the customer has. Does he have a smart meter, second generation, first generation, or even a traditional meter? We still support those. At the bottom, you see something that says data agents that tells us who's responsible for maintaining that meter. If you then go to this tab, you will actually see the consumption data that we retrieved, that we loaded from that meter. So nobody has to call us anymore or send us a postcard with a new updated reading. We can just directly, if you are our customer, we can directly access the meter and display this. The same application, now you see it in a browser. You see how it says localhost. So the CRM runs in Safari, also, of course, in Chrome. And in order to do that, to run the JavaFX application, there's a little plugin that we use. It's provided by a company called JPro. And you don't have to change anything in your code base. You can just use their Maven or Gradle plugin and run it directly in a browser. There's nothing you have to change. You can take any JavaFX application and run it in a browser. There are lots of demos on the JPro website. I would recommend you just go there and check it out. Just quickly, I have 1.5 minutes left. Now, the killer argument for web application versus desktop is usually the deployment. So what about deployment? If you have a new version of your application for the web, then users don't have to do anything. And nowadays, there are very cool tools that you can use to get auto-update functionality directly in your desktop application. So our users, our support people that work at Tomato Energy, every time they come into the office and restart the application, it automatically updates itself. And there's a very fantastic tool called Conveyor. And it is a tool that is capable of building native installers on any platform. So you can build a Windows installer on Mac. You can build a Linux installer on Windows. So you don't have to have a build farm with different operating systems. You can build all the installers on a single system. And it performs all the necessary notarization for Apple applications, for the Windows certificates, everything. Okay, so it's all there. This, unfortunately, it's free for open source, but it is a commercial tool. You have to pay for the licenses. And when this is done, it even generates a download page for you. So for the initial installation of your application, you can get the installer from this website. But after that, you will get Delta updates and they might be super small, like only 10 kilobytes or so. So you really only get the deltas. 3 seconds left, I'm done. Thank you.